Okay, we'll call the meeting for the organizational meeting of council to session to order at 6 p.m.
Resolved that approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting held on October 26, 2015 at City Hall in Portage, Prairie be waived to the next regular meeting of council.
Moved by Councillor Dreger, seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Do you want me to just read them all? Okay. First item is the appointment of Deputy Mayor. Resolved that in accordance with Section 148(2) of the Municipal Act, Councillor Brent Budds be appointed Deputy Mayor from November 9th, 2015 to the next organizational meeting of Council.
Need a mover for the motion, please. Councillor Wall, seconded by Councillor Draycott. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Second item, appointment of acting Deputy Mayor. Resolved that the following be appointed acting Deputy Mayor from November 9th, 2015 to the next organizational meeting of Council. From November to December, Councillor Draycott. January to February, Councillor Dreger. March to April, Councillor Espy. May to June, Councillor Fraze. July to August, Councillor Wall. And September to October, Councillor Draycott.
I have a mover for the motion, please. Councillor Espy, and seconded by Councillor Dreger. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Appointment of standing committees. Resolved that the appointments to standing committees be approved as follows. Finance, Legislative, and Property, Councillors Budds and Councillor Wall. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Dreger, Councillor Budds. Public Safety, Councillor Fraze, Councillor Espy. Waterworks, Councillor Wall, Councillor Dreger. Transportation, Councillor Draycott, Councillor Fraze. Community Services, Councillor Espy, Councillor Draycott.
Mover, sorry.
And that the mayor is a member of all committees.
Moved by Councillor Dreger, seconded by Councillor Wall. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Appointment of Appointment of ad hoc committees. Resolved that the following appointments to the ad hoc committees be approved. Chamber of Commerce and Positively Portage, Observer, Councillor Dreger. Portage Regional Recreation Authority, Mayor Ferris, Councillor Espy, Councillor Budds, and Citizen Appointment, Darren Miller. Portage Regional Economic Development, Councillor Budds, Councillor Draycott, Councillor Dreger, and ex officio City Manager. Heartland Community Futures, Councillor Dreger and Preston Meyer. Regional Library Board, Councillor Wall, Evelyn Braun, Dorothy Morrish. Portage and District Hospital Foundation, Mayor Ferris, Hugh Owens, and Dale Lyle. The Queen Elizabeth Scholarship, Mayor Ferris. Principal of PCI, Principal of West Park School, and the Superintendent of Schools. The Heritage Advisory Committee, Councillor Fraze, James Kostachuk, Barry Bills, Brian Barrett, Les Green, Cam McNish, Don Pilecki, RM Representative Terry Simpson, and Fort Laurier Museum Representative Tracy Turner. Having technical difficulties. RCMP Community Consultative Committee, Councillor Fraze and Councillor Espy. Planning District Board, Mayor Ferris, Councillor Dreger, Councillor Budds. Regional Landfill Board, Mayor Ferris, Councillor Dreger, and Councillor Wall. Dangerous Animal Hearing Committee, the Fire Chief, City Manager, and Veterinarian Tammy Dunbar. Fort Laurier Museum, Councillor Draycott. Age-Friendly Cities Advisory Committee, Councillor Fraze. Portage Services for Seniors Rep. Shelley Caskey, Canadian Mental Health Association Rep. Mitch Tilk, Portage Regional Library Rep. Jenny Wrights Compare, Southern Regional Health Authority Rep. Margaret Warner, Herman Pryor Center Rep. Hope Fashaway, PCRC Rep. Marilyn Moffett, and members at large Kay Humphrey, Haley Parson, and 2 vacancies. That's it.
Okay.
Do we need to move?
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Fraze. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay. Appointment of special committees. Resolved that the following appointments to special committees be approved. Budget Committee is Mayor and Council. City Manager's Evaluation is Mayor and Council. Emergency Control Group is Mayor and Council. Board of Revision, Mayor and Council. The Chair of the Board of Revision is the Mayor. Secretary of the Board of Revision is the Manager of Administration. Tax Sharing Committee, Mayor and Council. That's it.
Thank you. And need a mover for the motion, please. Councillor Fraze. And seconded by Councillor Draycott. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And the adjournment. Resolved that the meeting adjourn at 6:06 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that's carried. We'll move into council. Okay, we'll call council to order at 6:07 p.m. Need a motion for adoption of minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on Monday, October 26, 2015 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Wall. All those in favor? And that's carried. First up this evening, we have a delegation from the Portage Potato Festival.
Do I have to move this, Mike? All right. I'm going to stand because it's easier. All right. First off, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity in allowing us to provide council with some supporting details regarding our request of increased funding from the City of Portage Prairie for the 2016 Portage Potato Festival. In our submission, we requested that the city consider a funding amount of $10,000 monetary towards the festival for the 2016 year. Looking back at the records, the city has been providing a $7,500 grant to the Potato Festival since 2005. The festival's expenses have continually increased over the past 10 years, hence the need for increased support and sponsorship from the city. I would also like to remind council that the city originally approached the chamber about a community festival. Council was looking for something to replace the Strawberry Festival, and the chamber and the committee have fulfilled that request for the past 12 years. The chamber organized the event for the first 5 years before a volunteer committee took over. In 2016, the festival will be celebrating 13 years as a free admission community event in Portage Prairie. Fundraising events, sponsorships, and grants from the City of Portage, along with other sources, assist in maintaining free as the key phrase in festival advertising. Free fries, along with free stage entertainment, and the children's events have been the chief attractions. This committee that stands here with me, well, they're not standing, but they're sitting, that sits here with me, along with past members, have worked very tirelessly over the years, not only to make this a sustainable event for the citizens of Portage Prairie, but to also expand it to ensure that it remains an event that is appealing to all citizens. And the committee that worked so hard all year was honored and proud to have been named the 2014 Citizen of the Year. The Portage Potato Festival Committee never really breaks for long before it's time to start organizing and planning for next year's festival. Included in that is the need to fundraise in creative ways. So it's not only the weekend of the festival that we're giving our time to this event, it's a year-round process. This is a committee of citizens that are passionate about Portage, and we want to make this festival a success. What does it take to run a successful festival? The support of the city, the support of the business community, the support of the people. And I think we all want the same thing. We want to enhance the image of the community. We want Portage to gain positive recognition as a result of the festival. And we want to feel proud knowing that Portage Prairie is the city of possibilities. It is possible. We want the festival to be a source of community pride and be an easy way for area citizens to become involved. But we seem to still run into the same hurdles every year, and we just never have enough funding to accomplish everything that we would like to. The Portage Potato Festival is one of the few events in the city that is truly all about the community in general as a whole. We would like to remind everyone in this room that this is the one event in this city where no one is excluded. Excuse me. No one is excluded based on personal interest, religious beliefs, or even economic status. This event is not a fundraising event geared to a specific organization or cause. We do not have the luxury of recouping our costs by charging fees or admission. If we were to go that route, the entire purpose of this event would be lost. It is a family festival committed to providing free food and entertainment to everyone. This event is about families, neighbors, and friends all coming together to enjoy a day of fun, laughter, and entertainment with one another. As an organizing committee, there is no prouder accomplishment than the day of when you take that moment to catch your breath and really see a year's worth of work coming alive right in front of you. And when you get to see the enjoyment on everyone's face as they are walking around the grounds and socializing with their fellow citizens. It's an incredible feeling and one that not many get to experience, and we are so thankful for it, each and every one of us. The festival is a celebration of Portage community, and this year our theme is Going Local. We're going to feature local talent and entertainment all day long, from the buskers to the main stage. We're also working on a new feature, Portage Has Talent. Please don't look at this as simply putting our hands out wanting more and more. The committee would like to work with Council to make sure the festival celebrates many more years as a free community event. Again, whether monetary or in-kind contributions via the extra hands or assistance with snow fencing, equipment, assistance with picnic tables, recycling, or garbage cans, it's about working together. The whole community benefits keeping this festival alive and successful. The committee would like to work with the city on making this the best community event that all of Portage to Prairie can be proud of. We want and need your support. As well, we would like to encourage any one of you to contact us individually with any advice or direction that you may think can be of assistance to us. I thank you for your time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We truly do appreciate you providing us with this opportunity, and we look forward to working with the city in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Were there any questions from council for Cindy? Councillor Wall?
Yes, Your Worship. Cindy, I was just wondering if you're planning on using the Island Park venue again?
Yes, we are staying at the same location we had last year.
Absolutely perfect.
It was, yep, we agree with that. Yep, we will be going back.
Councillor Dreger?
Cindy, in which area do you see your biggest increases?
Biggest increases as in attendance, or?
No, you're asking for extra money, and as costs have gone up. So in which area have the costs?
Well, one of our areas that the costs always seem to go up is our children's area. It's very, very popular, and we're trying to expand it to have, because we've had years where it was just geared towards smaller kids. So last year we brought in some other stuff that would be geared towards the teenagers, so have something for everyone. So the cost for that's one of our big costs. Entertainment, cost for entertainment always goes up. For the sound people, all of that stuff. Prices keep going up.
Did you see an increase in attendance last year?
Yes, compared to the year before when we were rained out. So yes, it was an increase. With Aaron Pritchett, we had a huge crowd last year. It was really hard to tell how many there was because it's free. Like we said, we can't count attendance. But with the venue we were in, it was completely full. It was a fantastic evening, and I think our every year it gets better and better. So.
Any further questions from council?
Sorry guys, can I just add to what Cindy's telling you? And that's why I'm kind of here is to support her on this. And I'm sure
Use the mic, Nadine, absolutely.
this is Cindy's show. I'm just here to support. And again, I'm the outgoing chair. So you asked about costs, and I probably have a little bit more background on that. What we're seeing is we've tried to keep everything local, where we're hiring local people and doing local things, but we've lost a lot of that type of business with respect to the kids area. We just can't get anybody from Portage. And so when you start looking at transportation costs and things like that, the festivals costs are starting to really climb. We had to basically double the budget for that kids area probably about 2 years ago. And we just can't get anybody. So it's either pay for somebody to come from Brandon or pay for somebody to come from Winnipeg. And either way, those costs are really creeping up on us. And any costs really, because to get sound and system or anything like that, we just can't get it. All of that, what we need to that extent for a festival, can't get it in town. So just to answer your question, is that's kind of where a lot of those costs. And I did tell Cindy I was going to jump in, so I think she's quite okay with it. But I wanted to thank you guys for your time, so thanks.
Okay, well, thank you both. And Cindy, we're very pleased to see you taking over. I realize you have big shoes to fill. And we'd like to thank Nadine for her many years of contributing to making this successful, this festival a really successful festival, which it has been. And certainly Nadine and her group has taken it to the next level. And Cindy, we're really looking forward to Portage Has Talent and going local, not local, right? Yep. Okay, good. Just want to clarify that.
Or local. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming out this evening and sharing that with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move into hearings. We'll open the public hearing for variation 09-15, that's Melco, that's 17 and 19 Tyler Place, and 18 and 20 Melco Drive. And is there anyone here to speak to the hearing? Nobody?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation 69-15 Melco, 1719 Tyler Place, and 1820 Melco Drive now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger. Seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Melco Developments is applying for a variation order for a minimum front yard requirement to be reduced, as well as the side yard when on a corner lot to be reduced. They did receive a variance of a similar request in 2013, as well an extension in 2014. The front yard requirement or reduction that they're asking for now remains the same, but the side yard requirement is being reduced further to 3 meters. The application has been circulated to various city departments with no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It's the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Melco Development Limited to vary the minimum front yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced to 6.1 meters, and the minimum side yard requirement when on a corner lot of 3.6 meters to be reduced to 2.43 meters at the property known as 17 and 19 Tyler Place and 18 and 20 Melco Drive, which is legally described as Units 13/16, Plan 55862, Parish of Portage la Prairie, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger, seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions?
I just have one. Now, why are they asking to have the corner lot further? Like, why is it smaller now?
They would like to make the units bigger.
Okay.
Any further questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
The second was also for, sorry.
We'll open the public hearing for variation 70-15, that's Melco, and that's 1315 Tyler Place and 1416 Melco Drive. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing? Okay.
Resolved that the public hearing for variation 70-15 Melco and 1315 Tyler Place and 1416 Melco Drive now be closed. Again, this was a variation that was approved.
Moved by Councillor Dreger.
Sorry.
And seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay, sorry about that. Again, a variance of similar request was approved in 2013, as well as an extension was granted in 2014. And the maximum site coverage of 50% is going to be increased to 55%, but the minimum front yard requirement will stay the same at 6.1 meters. The recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage Prairie approve the variation request of Melco Development Limited to vary the maximum site coverage of 50% to be increased to 55%, and the minimum front yard requirement of 9.1 meters to be reduced to 6.1 meters at the property known as 1315 Tyler Place and 1416 Melco Drive, which is legally described as Units 9/12, Plan 55862, Parish of Portage Prairie, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger, seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We'll open the public hearing for rezoning bylaw 15-8636, that's CHP Developments, 729, 731, 733, 735, and 737 Willow Bay. Is there anyone here to speak to the hearing?
I am here for
Chris Beers?
here to answer any questions if there is.
Okay, thank you.
Resolved that the public hearing for rezoning bylaw 15-8636 CHB Developments 729, 731, 733, 735, 737 Willow Bay now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger. That's seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay, the property in question is presently zoned R1 residential single family, and CHB Development wishes to rezone the property to R3 residential multifamily. The guidelines for doing this are set out there by the Portage Prairie Development Plan. This application has been circulated to the various city departments with no concerns, and the application had been advertised in the Daily Graphic for 2 consecutive weeks, circulated to the province, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius of the proposed development as per Section 168 of the Planning Act. First reading of this bylaw was given September 28, 2015 to commence the process. And as of this writing, we have not received written objections of the proposed rezoning scheme. It is the recommendation of your committee that the Council of the City of Portage Prairie approve the application to rezone the land known as 729, 731, 733, 735, and 737 Willow Bay, and legally described as lots 6 to 10, Block 4, Plan 1741, Parish of Portage Prairie, from R1 residential family to R3 residential multifamily, and that bylaw number 15-8636 be read a second time, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions for Councillor Dreger or for Mr. Beers? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
That bylaw number 15-8636 be read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We'll move into committees. First committee is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, and tonight that's Councillor Wall.
Yes, Your Worship. Number 1 is the short-term borrowing bylaw, number 15-8639, for first reading. A bylaw for short-term financing is established for every fiscal year. The bank requires this bylaw each year. Cash inflow appears to be sufficient to provide some funding for the city operations. However, there may be requirements for interim financing in the event of emergency spending. Bylaw number 158639 will set up a line of credit up to $3 million for 2016 at no cost to the city, which can be drawn on only in the event it is required, with interest charges applying from that time on. The committee recommendation is that bylaw number 158639 to set up a line of credit within the city's financial institution for 2016 be given first reading, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Draycott. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Secondly is the fees and charges bylaw. The fees and charges bylaw pull together all the fees collected by the various departments within the city, and it's updated annually to reflect any changes. This new bylaw is scheduled to become effective January 1st, 2016. Covers such things as public safety, cemetery charges, noxious weeds, and things of that nature. And the recommendation is that the Council of City of Portage La Prairie approve the fees and charges schedules for the year 2016 by giving bylaw number 158638 first reading.
Moved by Councillor Wall, and that's seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And for information only, there are the third quarter finance report, financial statistics, and the third quarter admin report. Also, we have budget survey results for information only. The 2016 budget questionnaire was released earlier this month via the website, social media, and paper copies at City Hall. Despite the promotion for responses, there were only 38 responses received. At such a low response and the city's population size of approximately 13,000, it calculates to an 84% likelihood of the responses reflecting the opinions of the total population, with a margin of error of 16%. 57% of the respondents thinks the programs and services received from the City of Portage are fairly good value for their tax dollar. 54% say Council's financial strategy should be to maintain the same tax level, reducing services if necessary. 57% of respondents say crime is the most important issue facing our community. Many additional program requests were provided, with a majority indicating the cost recovery should come from user fees. 17 of the 38 respondents provided suggestions for Council in setting the 2016 budget. Survey results will be placed on the city website and be part of the budget package for Council's review and discussion at the upcoming budget deliberations. Number 5 is the award of contract provisions for building maintenance services. And for building maintenance, things such as gyprock repairs, etc., there was one bidder, that was Faithworks. The recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage La Prairie award the contract for building maintenance services to Faithworks Renovations for the 3-year period ending November 30th, 2018. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Draycott. Any questions on the motion? I had one question, Councillor Wall, and I realize this is not normally your committee, but on some of these we received only one bid. Is that the norm?
It is in some areas. I know, for instance, the next one, the electrical services, VNR have had that contract for quite a number of years, and the recommendation is to award it to them again. So.
And we had no other bidders on that one either. Okay. Okay, thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Number 6 is the award of the contract for electrical services. Again, VNR was the only bidder. The recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage La Prairie award the contract for electrical services to VNR Electrical Limited estimated at $55,374.40, including all applicable taxes, for a 3-year period ending November 30th, 2018.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Number 7 is my favorite, trade plumbing. Again, one contractor submitted a proposal, and the recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage La Prairie award the contract for plumbing services to Cobb's Plumbing and Heating for a 3-year period ending November 30th, 2018.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Draycott. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Number 8 is the award of contract for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning maintenance services. Again, one proposal, again from Cobb's Plumbing. The recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage La Prairie award the contract for HVAC maintenance services to Cobb's Plumbing and Heating for a 3-year period, ending November 30th, 2018.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Dreger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. There was 3 variations that were, or 2 variations that were dealt with in hearings. The third item is the building reports, which we discussed in committee 2 weeks ago, and they're there for council to be reviewed. And we also had Douglas Burrell give us the third quarter report in committee 2 weeks ago, and that report is also listed there. The rezoning was also dealt with in hearings. And that concludes my report.
I had one question, Councillor Dreger. I was at the Big Dig on Saturday night, as you were. I was just wondering, was it as successful as it looked?
Yes, I was going to speak to that in committee, but we can do that now. If you
Okay, sorry. We could leave it to committee.
We'll do that now. Douglas, what was the attendance? What was the final numbers? Do you know?
Yeah, it was max capacity, so we couldn't fit anyone else in the room. So because of fire code.
So
We
that
complied
was,
with that, yeah.
What, about 200?
Close to 200, yes.
Okay, yes. It was a very, very good event as far as I was concerned. The food was delicious, and everybody seemed to be having a good time. And
The tarts
100%
were
of the
especially good.
the tarts were very good, yes.
Yes, 100% of the calories consumed that night were grown within the city or the RM, so.
Yes, and for everybody who actually followed the directions for the cinnamon buns, I think they turned out very well.
Okay.
There was lots of smiles.
In the room, Mayor.
Yes, it looked like it was very successful. And that concludes your reports. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Fraze, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's a couple items. Firstly, there's third quarter reports that we looked at for both the fire department and the bylaw enforcement, as well as an RCMP third quarter report. I'm having a little technical difficulty accessing those reports currently, but if I recall correctly from last meeting, there wasn't anything dramatic or significantly different in the third quarter compared to the previous quarters. I believe the fire department had a slight increase in calls. The news from the fire department is a couple new things happening. They're training their crew on a new to us ladder truck, and they're undergoing a renovation to the hall, which is currently under construction. As far as the police department is concerned, again, the report didn't show any really dramatic differences from previous quarter. In some areas, crime statistics were a little up, in some areas a little down. So it's basically steady as it goes. Both Deputy Chief Dave Holmes and Inspector Rick Head are in attendance if they have anything to add to that report.
That's great. It's we've had some up and down, as you folks know, with crime. It's always going to be that way. I was interested in the statistic that you had there. That you said there was 58 respondents to the survey?
38.
38.
Rick, yes.
And 54% of them thought crime was a major issue. So it's too bad, because it would have been nice to have a bigger indicator of how people felt in the community. So that's unfortunate. But if that's the case, then that means 50% of the population are concerned with crime, as we are, of course, and we'll continue to plug away and do what we can to reduce crime. We have some new ideas that we're thinking about the upcoming year. I'll be sharing with people at the meetings that we have on November 28th. And we have added and filled our position again. I think he was in to meet some of you folks today, our community policing officers back on the table. So that's good. We filled that. Constable Sean O'Keefe, sharp young man, and I think he's going to be good for the community, and they'll be involved in a lot of the stuff that we do when it comes to community policing perspective. You know, to reduce crime, there's got to be a balance of both, right? You got to have some community policing work along with enforcement. I always believe that, and I think it's important. That's why I want to make sure that position is filled again and get that rolling. So he will do a lot of work in conjunction with our school liaison person. They will certainly work a lot together to do some programs when it comes to community policing and teaching people about things other than just trying to enforce it. Crime is always going to be up and down, folks, and we're always going to have seasons when there seems to be more of it than other times. It's based on weather, it's based on concerns we have in the community with drugs, obviously. All those things impact the crime at various times of the year, and it'll always be cyclical. Of course, sometimes we think, man, things are great, and then next week we have more break-and-enters, but that's the nature of it, and that's the nature of our job. I've been in for 23 years, and it has always been the same every year. And I wish there was a way to eradicate it altogether, but it'll always be with us. It's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. So we'll be here to do the best we can, and if you have any questions and specifics, I'm always around. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Head. Just on another note related to crime prevention, I guess, the organization called COP, Citizens on Patrol, is actively recruiting young people as youth members to ride along with their senior members. So I think that's an interesting development that could bear some positive fruit down the road. So those reports should be available for you to look at further. The second issue, Your Worship, is we had a request about bicycles and whether they needed to have licenses, and there was an individual citizen who requested Council look into the licensing of bikes. In the past, the fire hall did sell bike licenses until about 1988, when they were $2 a license, and then for a while they were given out free in order to promote their use and encourage citizens to obtain them, but interest just didn't build for that licensing program, so it was discontinued. The benefit to the bike licensing process was the recording of serial numbers, which allowed for easy identification when bikes were found. However, this information is normally recorded by citizens anyway for their insurance purposes, and when bikes are taken to the fire hall, the serial numbers are recorded currently, and those bikes are kept for a period of time until the annual auction disposes of them. And so citizens who are looking for their bike have a couple of options in terms of looking for that bike. And at this time, it doesn't appear that there'd be a great benefit to the licensing program. So it is the recommendation of the Public Safety Committee that the Council of the City of Portage and Prairie advise administration to simply continue with the current process regarding bicycles, as bicycle licenses has provided in the past no additional benefits.
Okay, moved by Councillor Fraze, seconded by Councillor Wall. Any questions or comments on the motion? I just want to, just a comment, I just want to thank administration and council for looking at this. That we did have a request from one citizen, so thank you very much for the people that did the work on the background. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Freeze. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Wall, please.
Yes, Your Worship. The third quarter reports for wastewater, waterworks, and and water treatment were reviewed by committee and are there for your perusal. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. Transportation Committee, Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. First item that we have is just a review of third quarter reports for the Engineering Department and the Transportation Department. That is there for Council to review. Second item is bylaw number 15-8637, school zone signage and school loading zones, amends to the traffic bylaw number 01-8105, second and third reading. So just to review that Council has seen this already for first reading, but this is just to amend our traffic bylaws so that we are able to move the signage in school zone areas. So the recommended sign placement revisions are Acol Crescent View School northbound Crescent Road. The end sign would be moved to 36 meters north of north property line. La Vérendrye School westbound 7th Avenue, the end sign would be moved to 16 meters west of the west property line. North Memorial School 6th Avenue eastbound, end sign would be moved 33 meters east of the east property line. Portage Collegiate Institute, St. George Avenue westbound, end sign 34 meters west of Strathcona, and St. George Avenue eastbound, speed sign 34 meters west of Strathcona. Yellow Quill School, Crescent Road westbound, the warning sign at 178 meters east of the east property line and a speed sign at 77 meters east of the east property line. Crescent Road eastbound, speed sign at the west property line. And then changes to no parking loading and bus loading zones. Again, this is just concerns regarding parking around Fort Lorraine, North Memorial School, and Wee World daycare areas. So we did review that last time when we had first reading of it. I won't go through the ins and outs of all of that, but the recommendation is that bylaw number 15-8637 be given second reading, and that bylaw number 15-8637, I apologize. The recommendation is that bylaw number 15-8637 be given a second reading.
Moved by Councillor Draycott, seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And finally, that bylaw 15-8637 be read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed, and that traffic bylaw number 01-8105 and the traffic sign directory be amended accordingly.
Moved by Councillor Draycott and seconded by Councillor Wall. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And that's all for transportation this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Draycott. Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the one item. Third quarter reports from the Youth Councillor, Parks, and PCRC, and committee has reviewed those reports.
Thank you, Councillor Espy. We have no deferred business. However, we do have new business. First item is the rezoning bylaw 15-8640 PC 72-15. This is Fox, 103 11th Street Northwest. This is first reading.
Yes, Your Worship, this is a property that has been brought forward by the owners, and they are applying to have it rezoned from an R1 to an R2 single family. This lot measures 10.05 meters by approximately 35.63 meters and will require numerous variations for any building that is to be built on this property, whether it is R1 or R2. Again, the Portage Prairie Development Plan outlines some guidelines that must be adhered to, and the application has been circulated to the province for review and comment after first reading. As per Section 74(1) of the Planning Act, Council shall indicate its intention to enact a zoning bylaw amendment by giving first reading and proceed with the public notice as set out in Section 168. First reading of bylaw number 15-8640 will commence the process as defined in the Planning Act in consideration In considering this application, it's the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 15-8640 first reading and provide public notices as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger, seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Second item is award of banking services, and this is finance. Councillor Wall, please.
Yes, Your Worship, the City of Portage la Prairie's banking services with the Portage Credit Union expires December 31st, 2015. RFPs were sent out to all financial institutions that have branches within the city. The RFP requested that the main basis of evaluation will be the rate of interest offered to be paid on the city's bank accounts. The city received proposals from Royal Bank and Portage Credit Union. The Portage Credit Union offers the highest interest rate on bank accounts. Other differences were minor in nature. The committee recommendation is that the Portage Credit Union be awarded the contract to provide banking services for the City of Portage la Prairie for the period January 1st, 2016 to December 31st, 2020, and that the Mayor and Director of Finance be authorized to sign the agreement.
Moved by Councillor Wall, seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. The next item is a road closure. This is for the Island of Lights. The Transportation Committee, Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. In previous years, City Council passed a resolution that authorized the closure of the above-mentioned roads to allow for the operation of Island of Lights. The city has an obligation to ensure residents have access to their properties via public roads that surround this display area. We are proposing to close the identified roads from December 4th, 2015 to January 7th, 2016 from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. daily. The gates would be unlocked each evening when the show is over at 10:30 p.m. to allow regular resident access. As identified on the attached map, residential access will be from Royal Road South, Peleckety Drive to Brandon Avenue and Massey Crescent, with the exception of Nana Lane and Irvin Place, residents who will be required to check in at Island of Lights entrance gate and travel through the show to access their property during the hours of operation. Once the show has closed for the evening, regular access will be restored. A letter to all Island Park residents will be sent notifying them of the closure once approved by Council. It is the recommendation that the Council of City of Portage la Prairie approve the closure of International Drive, George Hill Drive, and part of Brandon Avenue East from George Hill Drive to International Drive each evening from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. from December 4th, 2015 to January 7th, 2016 as part of the Island of Lights, and that letters be sent to Island Park residents advising them of this closure and alternate access routes. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Draycott, seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. And the next item is also transportations, Councillor Draycott.
Great, thank you. Number 4 is road closure for Santa's Parade of Lights. Again, as in past years, the Chamber of Commerce has requested the closure of Saskatchewan Avenue for Santa's Parade of Lights. At the west end, a detour route in both directions will be provided in the westbound lane of Saskatchewan Avenue. From 21st Street to Elm Street, Saskatchewan Avenue will be open behind the parade as it proceeds. A detour route to the north of 10th Street Northeast will be set up along Lauren Avenue, McKay Avenue to 18th Street Northwest, Gigot Avenue from 21st Street Northwest, and 21st Street Northwest to Saskatchewan Avenue. The RCMP will control traffic at intersecting streets along the parade route. It is the recommendation that Council authorize the closure of Saskatchewan Avenue in both directions between 21st Street West and 10th Street East, and in the eastbound direction from Elm Street to 21st Street West for the annual Santa's Parade of Lights on the evening of Friday, December 4th, 2015, beginning at 7 p.m., moving from the west to east until the end of the parade, and that the Chamber of Commerce parade organizers coordinate the road closure with Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation, the RCMP, and city operations.
Moved by Councillor Draycott, seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Our next item under new business is the Mutual Aid Memorandum of Understanding with the RM of Portage.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is an agreement for mutual aid between neighboring municipalities in times of emergency, and the RM of Portage has requested the City of Portage Prairie to enter into a peacetime emergency memorandum of understanding. With this MOU, the RM and the City agree to support each other when affected or threatened by peacetime emergencies and to provide assistance when required. It is agreed that upon receipt of a call, the extent of the assistance given will be at the discretion of the responding organization, depending on its own local situation at the time. It is also proposed that any costs incurred in connection with the mobilization, movement, and deployment of mutual aid resources will be borne by the municipality receiving the aid. And so it is a recommendation of the Public Safety Committee that the City of Portage Prairie enter into a peacetime emergency mutual aid memorandum of understanding with the RM of Portage Prairie, and further that the Mayor and City Manager be authorized to sign this memorandum of understanding. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Fraze and seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Just a comment that this is just another one in the the many agreements that exist between the RM and the city for our mutual benefit.
All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We have no old business. We do have a question period. If there's anybody in our gallery that would like to ask council a question pertaining to this evening's agenda, we'd be happy to hear from you and answer that if we could. No questions for question period. Okay. Then we will adjourn council at 6:52 p.m. and we'll move right into committee. First committee is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Wall, is yours good to go?
Yes, Your Worship. The short-term borrowing bylaw will be coming forward for second and third reading. Also, the fees and charges bylaw, which we touched on, will be brought forward for second and third reading. The third quarter financial forecast, the interim operating budget, and dates for 2016 council meetings are all there for you to have a look at. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Councillor Wall on any of those items? Okay. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Dreger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Formally, we have nothing to report this evening, but again, I would just like to speak of the success of the Big Dig on Saturday night and just the morale it brings to community and gives us all a chance to get out and mingle. And did you have something to add to that?
It is also the start of our 10% and our Big Table tourism initiative as well. It's a
Do you want to speak further to that?
Sure. Our Big Table will be recruiting people from all over the province to enjoy our local bounty, and our 10% campaign will be working in conjunction with that, encouraging locals to spend their current budget at the grocery store at local producers, 10% of that, all of which will be mapped out and easily available online and in paper by spring.
And will that be advertised outside the community?
Absolutely.
I guess there's some more details to follow on that.
Well, the Pred Board has to meet again and discuss these very things.
The other thing I'd like to mention is that I had the opportunity to attend No Stone Left Alone at the Hillside Cemetery today. It was It was put on by Mackenzie's Funeral Home, and it was just really encouraging to see our grade 9 students out there with their poppies, just ensuring that all the graves of the soldiers that gave their lives in the First and Second World War out there had a poppy placed on them, and it was just a way to remember what has taken place in order for us to enjoy many of the freedoms that we enjoy these days. So yeah, that was a very good event to attend. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Dreger, and thank you for attending that event on our behalf. Appreciate that. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Fraze, please.
Thank you, Worship, but there's nothing on the agenda for next meeting. That concludes my report.
I was going to let you know that this morning Councillor Hillman and myself had the opportunity to attend the launch of Operation Red Nose, and this is the 10th year it's running in the city and the RM of Portage to Prairie. Very enthusiastic kickoff, I would say. A lot of people were out, including high school students from TAD, Teens Against Drunk Driving. The goal this year, one of the goals this year is to have over 500 rides. When they started, I think the first numbers were around the 200 mark. Last year it was over 400, and this year looking at 500 rides. And this program over the last 10 years has gone a long ways to keeping our streets and our highways very safe in this community. It's certainly endorsed by MPI, it's endorsed by the RCMP, and it's something that we certainly support. And if people are thinking about it, please use it. If you're out partying and it's not appropriate to be driving, please use the services. And if you're interested in volunteering, it's a very fun night. It's very rewarding. You get to meet a lot of friendly people, and I would recommend volunteering to anybody. It's grab a couple friends, and it's a lot of fun. And Councillor Hillman, did you have anything to add from this morning?
I guess just to echo your comments, Your Worship, I believe they said it was their 10th anniversary, so congratulations to them, and it was great to see some other high school students out there supporting the program.
Okay, thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Wall.
Yes, Your Worship. Nothing to report by the Waterworks Committee, but I too had the occasion to attend an announcement by Minister Carrie Irvin Ross the other morning at North Memorial School concerning the funding and construction of 74 new daycare spaces in our community. Much needed, much appreciated, and I'd like to congratulate the PCRC and all the volunteers who have worked towards this end for a long, long time.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wall, and thank you for attending that on our behalf. Transportation Committee, Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation Committee has nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Espy, Community Services Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the one item. We have a presentation tonight, so I'd like to ask Tracy Turner to come forward.
I have a dance. Sorry for the delay, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Your Worship, Mayor Ferris, and City Council. It's a real honor to be here. It's my first time here. So, I'm Tracy Turner, the Executive Director of the Fort Loraine Museum. And also, I'm here today to talk to you about our tourism initiatives. So I'm delighted to be here to talk a little bit about that. Now, just wondering, how will I be able to forward through the pictures? Okay. If you could start with the first slide.
I'm going to have to just, the way my computer's set up. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, maybe I'll just start in and we can catch up. So, as I said, thank you for this opportunity. The Fort Loraine Museum was incorporated as the Portage Tourist Bureau in early 2000, and we've been serving as a main informational hub of tourist information to the community for quite some time, even though you may not know that. And we're, of course, trying to increase our capacity in that regard. For the last 4 or 5 years since I've been at the museum, we've been really increasing our capacity for the distribution of tourist material. Our front entry kiosk is a place where everyone can get information. We distribute Travel Manitoba information, everything from maps to tourism guides to bed and breakfast material, and everything is, of course, in digital and online as well. And this year was the first year for us to take over the Visitor's Guide. So the 2015 Portage la Prairie Visitor's Guide was published by us, and that was a really great learning experience. I think we did a good job this year. It was a bit of a challenge getting it up and ready, but we have lots of great ideas for the next version of it, and hopefully we'll make it even more accessible to people and a little bit more exciting in the way we offer branding. We are, as I said, we're a Travel Manitoba Satellite Visitor Center, and that's really important. And in that capacity, we assist people. We field questions on a daily basis. We provide resources and information. We also generate statistics, and we feed those statistics right back to Travel Manitoba, and they get incorporated into all kinds of analyses. And analytics are always really important. It's how we can read what's going on as an industry. So we are the only Travel Manitoba Tourism Info Center on the Highway number 1, on the Trans-Canada Highway, and that's really significant. Travel Manitoba has been rebuilding its brand and its image over the last 2 years. And if you could just switch the slide, thanks so much. And as a Travel Manitoba associate, I've had the pleasure of speaking quite a few times with Colin Ferguson, the CEO of Travel Manitoba, and being part of the brand rebuild through workshops and conferences and seminars. And so the rebrand has been really important to the campaign. And this learning how to bring that brand into tourism on the ground floor is, of course, what we're doing when we're learning all this, and within the Fort Loraine Museum and Portage Tourism Outreach. The Fort Loraine Museum is a premier culture and heritage destination, and Portage Tourism is our regional tourism association. We have incorporated the Travel Manitoba brand into our branding story, and we're hoping to carve out a very unique position from which to market and inform our target audience. Manitoba, Canada's Heartbeats is the new branding. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. You've probably seen it in the TV campaigns. You've seen it in all the print media. And there's been great response to this new branding. So within Travel Manitoba's new campaign, they are talking about 2 core experience pillars. And this is really interesting, dividing them into 2. First pillar being the cultural oasis. The second pillar being accessible wilderness. So they're seeing those 2 divisions as being the way in which we frame all of our marketing for tourism at this point. And utilizing these new pillars of experience, we're bringing our brand into alignment with Travel Manitoba's branding, giving us a competitive edge in the marketplace. Tourism brands are conveyed in everything that we do. Logos, taglines on tweets, likes, and how we present ourselves physically, how we target ads, how we present ourselves geographically, and how we greet our visitors face to face. The brand is all important. And our brand vision is to carve out a distinctly Manitoba identity that travelers recognize and to which they are irresistibly drawn. So maybe we could flip the slide. Thank you. Our brand mission: to create differentiation by defining a distinctive voice that is genuinely Manitoban. Attracting attention by harnessing and leading with our most awe-inspiring assets. And I think we're all pretty familiar with what a lot of our assets here are in the community. And my pictures here aren't going to be exhaustive. They're merely a simple version of some of the things that I think are really, really important to highlight. Resonate with those that we're most likely to be drawn to by speaking directly to these assets. What's our brand promise? That natural attractions, cultural richness, and social character provide immersive experiences. And Travel Manitoba is really emphasizing that we focus in on these immersive experiences because they're what distinguish us from everything else. Immersive because our travelers are seeking a deep connection with destination. They're looking for a deep connection with a sense of place. They desire first-hand knowledge about a place and their people. Experiences because our travelers are passionate participants, eager to feel connected to where they are, and they're looking for authenticity. Travel Manitoba, through extensive research, has adopted a new EQ model to identify traveler types, and the EQ stands for Explorer Quotient. And if we could just flip the slide. Thank you. So who are these Explorer Quotient people? There's authentic experiencers. These are the people looking for natural settings and charming local culture and hospitality. They're spontaneous, they're independent, and they're open-minded, and they're eager to learn about their world through wilderness excursions, paddling events, hiking, hunting, and fishing, and cultural discoveries such as fairs, festivals, museums, and community. And if we could flip it again, thank you. They're also cultural explorers, appreciative of museums and galleries. Cultural explorers wish to interact with local people. They want to have active participation in what drives them. They want to know what it's like to live like what we do and join our festivals. They want to engage with wildlife and a natural element. And they're not wishing to be tourists. They're wishing to feel like they might be a short-term resident where they're passing through. So maximizing our marketing investment means we're speaking to both of these audiences. It means we're speaking to these cultural explorers, but we're also speaking to the authentic experiencers. And when we speak to both of them at the same time, we make the most use of our dollar. And if we could flip the picture, thanks. So Travel Manitoba has broken this down into 3 really easy, tangible markers. They're talking about categories such as this. There's boulders, there's stones, and rocks, and then there's pebbles. The boulders they're defining as iconic experiences. So iconic experiences are things that you can't get anywhere else, and these are what's attracting the international visitor. So these are like a polar bear excursion to Churchill, or perhaps a fly fishing lodge up north, or it might be going to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. It's something they can't get anywhere else. The rocks are the don't miss interest-based groupings that draw people from outside of the province and also create a lot of inside community tourism. Our rocks are groupings of assets. They're the groupings of our pebbles. These are our specific interest groups that like to visit cultural heritage sites, museums, historic places, outdoor wilderness parks, unique Manitoba natural heritage, and arts and special festivals. And if we could flip that, please. Thank you. They like to take in different types of Manitoba cuisine, individual community festivals, individual cultural heritage festivals and sites, trail riding, sporting events. It's very diverse. Essentially, the pebbles are all of our tourism products. So it's all about crafting our message, our visuals, and our tourism product, and making sure that we turn this product into stories that resonate with our travelers. And Travel Manitoba is hoping that we can divide these into real portraits, real moments, and memorable experiences. And if we can flip the slide, please. And we can flip one more. One more. I'm going to try and catch up here. I'm looking for a chart. There we go. Okay, thank you.
So the most recent statistics available through Statistics Canada talked about a travel survey in 2012. And now I wish I had more recent statistics, but that was the quickest one I could find and the most accurate one. Looking at growth of tourism revenues. The total number of visits, the level of spending per person increased. And in Manitoba, Manitobans account for most tourism spending. That you can see here, tourism is one of our top 5 sources of export revenue. And, you know, it's almost equal up there with pork and nickel. So it's quite high. And I would think that that may have changed quite a bit from 2012. So how do we apply these concepts? By harmonization of our media and communication of our tourism assets through a central hub that is regionally focused and applying these concepts, we will be able to highlight our assets and market our unique products through better organization, better branding, and better communication. With good social media savvy, I'd like to highlight a few unique cultural products that we've been bringing to the Fort Loraine Museum recently. So if we could turn the slide. And we'll just flip one more. Maybe we'll just flip through some of these. These are just highlighting some of our pebbles. Okay, we'll stay there. And you know, it's funny when they say the boulders and the pebbles. I'm not so sure I agree with the concept of pebbles because pebbles seem a little diminutive, but the idea being that if you bring them together, they create a bigger stone. So here's one of our events. We created this event in 2012, Mystery at the Museum. It was a really neat concept. I brought it in my second year at the museum. This is a production that highlights all local actors. We ran a news story, so original script every year, and built up our following. And I'd like to just talk about it just because it's a good example of what I think is an experience-based product. Now, since 2012, we sold it out every year. This year, we raised our tour groups up to capacity. We had tour groups of 50 people. We sold out 2 nights of shows. Next year, I think we will probably run 2 to 3 weekends with it. We turned away almost 200 people at the door on the final night. So for me, it's an example of something that's working. It's live theater. We create scripts off of historic stories that are poignant to Manitoba history. And it's entertainment. So it's using the facility in a new way, and it's creating a very unique cultural product. And it's a win-win for everyone, and people really enjoy it. And then the next slide. Oh, can we go back one, please? I'm sorry, I think I probably missed one. Oh, that's okay. It's fine. So I'll talk about our other event, the Ghost Walk. So the Ghost Walk is basically a Halloween trick-or-treat evening using the Fort Loraine Museum site. We were in our second year this year. Last year we approached 400 people for attendance for the first night. This year we surpassed 2,000. So we were thoroughly impressed with the result, but what it really felt like was that we had really hit our demographic. We were targeting really cool, immersive experiences, utilizing the facility in a way that was really hitting our marker and that wasn't being fulfilled at the moment in that niche. So just to close, because I don't want to take too much of your time today, we're embarking on a new journey. With over $300,000 to be spent over the next couple of years on infrastructure renewal at the Fort Loraine Museum, the site is going to go over a huge transformation. This year we'll bring a digital-first focus to all of our outreach with a brand new website, new marketing, and we'll be tasking one staff person solely to do social media coordination, communications outreach, and coordination. We are currently in the development process of concept design plans for a Portage Tourism Welcome Center, and this is a very exciting process. So we're hoping that we can bring Portage Tourism and the Fort Loraine Museum to a full year capacity to meet the needs of domestic and international tourism alike. And I'm excited that I got to present this to you, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Were there questions from council?
I just have a comment, really. It's been exciting just on social media to follow the museum, and looking forward to the Dickens Christmas that you have planned.
Thank you.
It'll also be nice to see, rather than driving by in the wintertime and seeing the gates closed and everything shut down, it'll be nice to see that there's something happening there.
Thank you. We're excited about it too.
Yeah, so thank you for all your hard work and
thanks.
new ideas.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions for Tracy? Councillor
Just
Draycott?
another comment, kind of to echo what Councillor Drew said. Tracy is an amazing individual that has done so much at the museum over the last 5 years, and her staff has very good direction. And I'm just so excited to be on this board and working with Tracy and looking at all the things that she's done and all the things that she has planned. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Draycott, for saying everything I was going to say.
You're welcome.
I have heard that before, Tracy. I've heard that from other members of the board, and I heard that a number of years ago around that just after you were hired, that people were saying this person's going to do a tremendous job for us, and that's come true. You absolutely have. And there was a lot of buzz in the community a few weeks ago about what was going on out there, the 2,000 people. I heard about that. Just tremendous. You're really putting us on the map, and we appreciate that. I have one question for you. I think the last time we talked back in the summertime, we were talking about volunteers. And have you had much luck? And I'm saying this because the press is here tonight, and the press are really, really good at getting the word out on what people need. And are you still in need of volunteers, or will you be?
Well, we're always in need of volunteers, and actually we need a lot more. So we've found this year partnering, for example, with the Portage Co-op, brought along some volunteers with some of our partnerships, which is always a really powerful thing to do. And so we'll keep doing that, but we certainly need community volunteers because we're bringing a lot of volunteers from Winnipeg still. So it would love to have more volunteers from the Portage area. It would be wonderful.
Okay. And if somebody was to volunteer, I bet they would learn a lot, and I bet you they would have fun. Is that pretty much true?
Greatest place to work in the world. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for coming out this evening and presenting to us.
Thank you, Mayor Ferris. Thank you, everyone.
Councillor Espy, any further reports?
Concludes my report.
Concludes your report? Okay. Just before we adjourn, now I may be jumping the gun on this, but I can get corrected. I've made mistakes before. As most of us know, Alicia Funk is leaving PCRC, I believe next month, what I've been told. So our next meeting is not until December 14th. So in case you're not there, I don't know the exact time frames. I just want to thank you for all the work you've done on behalf of our community over the last several years. And you brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the community and to your organization. And we appreciate it. We know that you've made a difference in the lives of a lot of our citizens and also the community as a whole. And on behalf of council, I want to thank you very much for all your efforts. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors, Alicia. Thank you very much. And we are adjourned at... Someday you'll be older. 7:18 p.m. It's really warm. It is.